Hello my students, my 7th grade students. In this video we are going to talk about the last part of our grammar lesson, which is the gerund and infinitive. So my students, you have to know that the gerund is verb plus ing. Let's see the example that we have. Swim is the verb, and when we add the ing, so the word is swimming, which is the gerund. This is the first one for the gerund. Number 2 is the infinitive, which is to plus the base form of the verb. Again, the infinitive is to plus the base form of the verb. For example, to visit. As you see, we have to, and also we have visit, which is the base form of the verb. Now, my students, gerund is found 1. After certain verbs, which are avoid, deny, suggest, confess, and admit. For example, you should avoid talking to strangers. Again, you should avoid talking to strangers. So, my students, after these verbs, we are going to use the gerund form. Number 2, after certain expressions, for example, cannot help or can't or cannot stand. Again, after the following expressions, which are cannot help and cannot stand. Let's see the example that we have. I can't stand watching horror movies. Again, I can't stand watching horror movies. As you see, we have the expression which is can't stand actually is followed by the gerund, which is verb with ing. For the infinitive, actually is found also 1 after certain verbs, which are advise, decide, hope, agree. For example, he hopes to pass the exam. Again, he hopes to pass the exam. As you see, after the verb, which is hope, we use the infinitive, which is to plus the base form of the verb. Again, after hope, which is one of the verbs that actually are followed by the infinitive. As you see, we put to plus the base form of the verb. And also after enough, let's see the example that we have. The food isn't enough to feed all the guests. Again, we are using infinitive after enough. As the example that we have, the food isn't enough to feed all the guests. And after adjectives, which is I am sad to hear that. Again, I am sad to hear that. So my students, you must know that. Again, gerund is found 1 after certain verbs, which are avoid, deny, suggest, confess, admit. And we have the example, you should avoid talking to strangers. As you see, after the verb, which is avoid, we use gerund. Number 2, after certain expressions, which are cannot help or cannot stand. Let's see the example. I can't stand watching horror movies. As you see, the expression, which is can't stand, is followed by gerund, which is watching. Verb watch plus ing, and word is watching. For the infinitive, after certain verbs, which are advise, decide, hope, and agree. Let's see the example. He hopes to pass the exam. As you see, we have the verb hope actually is followed by the infinitive, which is to plus the base form of the verb. After enough, the food isn't enough to feed all the guests. Again, the food isn't enough to feed all the guests. As you see, after enough, we use the infinitive to plus the base form of the verb. The third point is after adjectives, which is I am sad to hear that. As you see, we have the adjective and actually is followed by the infinitive, which is to plus the base form of the verb. Now, my students, we have gerund or infinitive with no differences in meaning. For example, we have the verb like We can say I like swimming with gerund or I like to swim. There is no difference in meaning. Again, gerund or infinitive with no differences in meaning. We have the verb which is like. We can say I like swimming, as you see, like is followed by gerund, or you can say I like to swim, and the verb like in this sentence is followed by infinitive, and there is no difference in meaning. But we have some verbs or changes in meaning, infinitive or gerund. One of these verbs is stop. Let's see the examples. I stopped eating unhealthy food. As you see, the verb which is stop actually is followed by gerund. So when the verb stop actually followed by the gerund, it means to quit or stop doing something. Again, to stop or I stopped eating unhealthy food, it means to quit or stop doing something. When the verb stop followed by gerund, it means to quit or to stop doing something. Number two, I stopped to eat some food. So when the verb stop followed by infinitive, it means to stop in order to do something. Again, when the verb stop followed by infinitive, it means to stop in order to do something. Now, my students, we have this practice. Let's see the practice that we have. The first one is the first sentence. Manal agreed. And we have the verb which is go between the brackets with us. As you see, we have one of the verbs actually which are followed by infinitive. Again, we have one of the verbs which are followed by infinitive. So the answer is Manal agreed to go with us. Okay, let's see the second one. I can't help, and the verb is listen between brackets to his music. Again, I can't help, the verb listen between brackets to his music. And we know that, my students, can't is one of the expressions which are followed by gerund. Again, can't help is one of the expressions which are followed by the gerund. So I can't help listening. Number three, we have my father stopped, and we have the verb between the brackets which is smoke. He doesn't smoke anymore. Again, my father stopped, and the verb between the brackets is smoke. He doesn't smoke anymore. And we know that when the verb stop is followed by gerund, it means to stop or to quit doing something. Again, when the verb stop is followed by a gerund, it means to stop or to quit doing something. So the answer is my father stopped smoking, which means he quit or stopped doing something, which is the smoking. Number four, we stopped, and the verb between the brackets is drink water since we were thirsty. So in this one, which is stop, when stop is followed by infinitive, it means to stop in order to do something. Again, stop in this sentence is followed by infinitive, which means to stop in order to do something. So we stopped to drink water since we were thirsty. Thank you so much, my students, and I wish you all the best.